We're going to kick this video lesson off with the film of Reverend Davis playing one of his most famous and loved songs called Death Don't Have No Mercy.
Now death don't have no mercy in this land. Death don't have no mercy in this land. They come to your house, you won't stay long. You look in the bed, you find your mother gone. There's no hell, no mercy in the land. Lord have mercy. Take the last one out of the family in this land. Oh, just take the last one out of the family in this land. Well, you come to your house and it won't stay long. Look at the bed, you find everybody gone. Just take the last one out of the family. Yes. In this land. You see people sometimes, you know, you hate to take the last thing they got, you understand? But death don't care, you know. How you moan over it? He take it in a house. How good you look, they tell you. Old death keeps somebody always crying in this land. He never makes nobody happy. Old death keeps somebody always crying. There's no way to keep somebody always crying in the land. Say the last thing, Miss Bobo, I'm tired of singing.
In this land. No mercy, children, no mercy.
There's Reverend Gary Davis playing one of his most famous songs, Death Don't Have No Mercy. This film is from a film called Black Roots, and it's important to realize that the director took some liberties for filmatic purposes, and he has cut out a few places of this song, so the continuity is not exactly what it would be if it was a whole performance. once again, I urge you to go to some other recordings, particularly Harlem Street Singer has a beautiful version of Death Don't Have No Mercy. And we will be referring and quoting that recording on some of the guitar parts. Before we get started, I'd like to go through standard tuning with you so that you're tuned to me and we can get started teaching this song. So if you can tune to me right now, play your high E string to this note. And then your B string. And your G string. And your D string. Your A string. And your low E. Okay, we're ready to get started. Generally, Reverend Davis starts this song out with a little run out of this E chord. Quickly, he uses a few E minor. This song is in E minor. Although actually technically it's in G, and E minor is the relative minor of the key of G. We'll talk about that when we get to the G chord. He uses this first position E minor. He uses this second position E minor. To play this chord, he plays it out of, this is your sort of F-looking G chord. It's an E position G with his thumb. He plays, takes his thumb off, plays the open E, puts his little finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. That's an E note, and that's a very simple and easy, convenient way of going from G and making this E minor chord. Now he also, the other chord he primarily uses is this A minor position E chord, and he just uses the top 3 strings, 7th fret of the 1st string, 8th of the 2nd, and 9th on the 3rd. Here's the E minor chord, here's the 7th, and here's your octave E. Often he starts this song with a run something like this. How does he do this? He goes up to this E minor chord, he's using his thumb, he's not worrying about the bass at the moment, brushes it, slides it back and forth with his first finger, and then plays a run down into the lower E minor with his thumb finger technique. Thumb, finger. What he's doing is playing the 7th fret, 10th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret of the 2nd string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, and then he comes off that 2nd string and plays the open E string. And then 3rd fret to open on the 2nd string, and then slides up on this E minor chord, or sometimes he'll slide up on a C chord, but mostly wants to get that E note, death don't. So he does that by sliding up to the E on the 2nd string, the G on the 1st string, the A, and he chokes it. Back to the E on the 2nd string, slides it down. Slides into a B7 chord with his thumb quickly, and then hits his E minor chord, and then plays one of hundreds of runs, if not tens. This one that I just played, it goes E, G, A, B, back down, or up to the D note, which is the E7th, or this run we'll talk about a little bit. It's basically a minor pentatonic, many variations on it that Gary Davis uses, and practically endless variations. And then he begins to sing, and when he's singing, he's basically playing chords sprinkled and peppered with beautiful little E minor or G runs throughout. He begins singing this song with a bar of E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Death don't have no. He's just basically brushing or hitting a bass and brushing. Death don't have no mercy. A minor, half a bar, B7 in this. Back to E minor. Excuse me. Death don't have no A minor. B7, E minor. And then he plays one of his many runs. One that you can do in this spot is to slide up from the E flat to the E. So he slides up from E flat to E, goes to the open G, back to E, D, back to the D, from the B, A, G, E. So it's death don't have no mercy in this land. Plays one bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he makes this beautiful change to the major key, which is G. And he hits that G note on the 4th string, 5th fret, out of this F-looking G chord. Hits it, brushes twice, and plays a run down to the A7th. So he's basically switched to the major key, which is G. Hits this G note, 2, 3, hits it again. 3 brushes, 1, 2, 3, goes down to the E, D, B, A, brushes the 7th, goes to the D7th, with his thumb on the F sharp on the 2nd fret of the low E string, and then to the G, the major chord. Brush, brush, and then to the B7, which is the 3rd in the key of G, but the 5th in the key of E minor, and back to E7. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he, at this point, either just brushes it or he plays a beautiful run that I love. He hits this E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So this run goes and up to E, G, A, B flat, B, D, E flat, E. Ba, 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 ba. So it's come to your house and you won't stay long. 7th. Goes to A minor, looks in the bed, C, so it's 1, 2, 3, a bar, C, 2, 3, 4, E minor, he goes from G, A, B flat, B, ba, 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 hits that B, plays an E minor chord, goes up to C, back down to E minor, B7, E minor. Plays a run. So just go through this chord progression once more explaining it. Death don't, E minor, A minor, A minor, B7, run. 2, 3, G, 3 brushes, A7, D7, G, B7, 2, 3, E minor, 3, 4, A minor, C, E minor, C, E minor, B7, It's another run, which is quite beautiful. He starts on this G note, 5th fret of D string, plays it, moves down a half step, goes down to the E, E, D, B, and then climbs back up on the open D string, 1st fret and 2nd fret. Bum, 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 bum. Davis has a beautiful sense of timing, and he peppers these runs throughout the song. One run that you really want to perhaps learn is after the middle part of the song, A7, D, G, B7. He goes to this E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4, he starts this blues run. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that run sort of jumps the bar a little bit, starts on the 4 and goes through the next bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. How does he do this? He slides up from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then plays the 7th. He's on the 2nd string, slides down the 2nd fret of the 3rd string open. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7th, A minor, C, B7, E minor, excuse me, B, C, E minor, B7. So that's the chord progression of Death Don't Have No Mercy. Those are the chords that he plays behind his singing. In the booklet that comes with this video, I'll be sure to write out the chords in the bars. This is a 16-bar song. The interesting thing about this song, one of the great things about this song, is his many different variations when he takes a guitar break and he gets his guitar to take over the singing of this song. On this particular film, he starts his guitar break with a distinctive run. How does he do this? He plays these 3 notes. This is the middle part of this E minor chord that I spoke about, the 2nd position E minor, and his 3rd finger's on the 5th fret of the 4th string, his middle finger's on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and his little finger is on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. It's kind of a little triangle of notes here, and this is the essence of that E minor chord, and he plays these 2 E notes together to emphasize that. So he slides up, sort of sometimes brushing, sometimes pinching the 2 and the 4, hits the open E, E, G, A, G, slides up to this E minor, E minor, plays this 7th fret, back up to the 10th, back to the 7th, 2nd string, 10th fret, 8th fret, then to the open E string, open E, D note, B, and that's the cue to play the B7, and then he plays a run. Another run that he puts exactly in that spot from Harlem Street Singer is this run. He's repeating this 7th blues run, 4th fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string. He plays the 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, down to the 2nd fret, to the E, and then back to the G, open, 2nd fret. And mostly he's using thumb and 1st finger. And don't forget that the important part of the right hand is the constant brushing with the thumb. That thumb is always moving. Let me do this one more time with that run. D7. Up here. So he's back up to this E minor, back up to the 7th and 10th frets, first string. Repeats that. Da 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 da. Same thing. Now here's where he switches over to the major, the G. G, D7. This is his usual D7. He bars the 5th fret, first 3 strings, and puts his little finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. So he goes from G to this D7 with the open D, and then he goes up to his famous squirrely G chord here. With this, he's playing the D position of the G with his last 3 fingers and putting his first finger on the G note, which is the 5th fret of the D string. G, D7, G, B7. Now this is an A7, A sharp, B7, moved up to the 4th fret. It's actually B, little finger on the 7th fret of the first string. Back to E minor. And usually does this. And then he goes to a D, although sometimes he leaves this D chord out. In Harlem Street Singer, he just doesn't play the D chord. He stays on the E minor. On this film, he plays the D chord. Da, 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 da. Here's your D. It's the bar on the 7th fret, little finger on the 10th. E minor, D, E minor, down here to the A minor, which is the first finger, barring the first 3 strings of the 5th fret, 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string. So what he's doing here is playing the A minor, brushing, 5th fret, 1st string, 8th fret, 2nd string, that's the 7th, and then the 7th fret of the 1st string. And then back down to the open E string. Same thing as the intro. And then a run. So what you have the chord progression peppered with runs that he plays under the singing to support the singing, and an example of one of his beautiful guitar breaks in this song, mostly that comes from Harlem Street Singer, but uses a run, the introductory run from the film. So there you have Death Don't Have No Mercy. Right now we're going to cut to the split screen. I'm going to play this really slowly so you can see both hands at once playing Death Don't Have No Mercy. Death don't have no mercy in this land. In this land, well, he'll come to your house and he won't stay long. He'll look in the bed and somebody will be gone. Death don't have no mercy.